first thing is you got to stop looking at reasons why it can't be done. You know, my most famous quote that I love the most is Nelson Mandela. It always seemed impossible until it was done. And that is so true. I mean, you got people who thought that they could create a flying machine. Are you stupid? Yes. We have airplanes today. You can have a shower at 20,000 feet with a gourmet chef. You know, there's so many reasons why you can't do things. You've got to tune out that noise.
Filtered AF, real ones rise, no mask, no flex. Lights on, mic check is next. This is the truth, unfiltered AF.
And we are back with another authentic episode of Unfiltered AF. With, I'm sure some of you know, L van Buuren. He likes to push the envelope. He's got a naughty sense of humor. He's an amazing person to be around, but he's got a heart of gold that really reaches out to community, that reaches out to others, to those in need, where he also wants to uplift and see how others can grow. L, it's an honor to have you with us today, telling your story, and I'm trusting you're going to inspire hundreds or thousands of people with your story. Welcome, L.
Thanks for having me.
So, L, as you've been on a journey. You've been in pharmacy, you've been in retail, FMCG, you name it, you've done it. So your journey currently, and I know that right now you're back in the FMCG industry market with a Pick and Pay franchise and so forth and so forth. Please tell us why, how did you get on this journey? How did you get to become the CEO, if I'm correct, CEO of Alpha Farm, and then moving towards owning your own Pick and Pay franchise store?
So my first business, I'm a serial entrepreneur. My first business was chickens. We were living in a place called Primrose in Germiston. We were very, very, very poor. It was the church's manse, as they called it, you know, and they weren't using the church, and they allowed us to live in the manse. And the very famous squatter camp started one night behind our house. And obviously the neighbors were going berserk about what was moving in. You know, this was the 80s. There was, you know, we lived across the road from the RVB, captain of the Transvaal province. And everybody was very negative about this thing. But my friend and I, we were playing in the veld. And it dawned on me that they didn't have fresh food. They didn't have electricity. So the only way to have fresh food was to have it live. So I phoned an uncle of mine who was a little bit naughtier than me, and he said, I'll tell you what, I'll get you 100 chickens. Okay. So I hid them from my mom in the garage, and we started to raise these chickens. We got them nice and fat. And then I realized, you know, I'm 9 years old. If I take these chickens into the squatter camp, I'm going to get probably robbed or whatever. So we had a system going where Alvina, our domestic servant, would go into the squatter camp with 2 big fat turkey-sized chickens, and she'd bring me the money. And this was great. I was making quite a lot of money. And being poor, we never ate protein. And then all of a sudden, you know, my sister started to notice that we had chicken almost every other night. And, you know, when you're 9 years old, you don't understand the concept of stock control. But I did understand that if I've got 10 chickens and we've sold them at 20 Rand, I should have $200 kind of thing. And we didn't have. So at first I thought, well, maybe I'm being stolen from. But then a trip to the veld realized that my mom had gotten her, our domestic, to slug the chickens, put them in the freezer. I was eating my stock, and you can't eat what you grow. I mean, we're not that wild. So that brought an abrupt end to that business. But it did instill for me that you can do good, you can make money doing good, and if you really have the interests of the customer at heart, you can make some bucks. So from there I had a talent for fixing bicycles. From bicycles it progressed to buying and selling motorbikes. From buying and selling motorbikes progressed to buying and selling and fixing cars, and then cars into property. But simultaneously I was playing quite good tennis, And we'd go to a tournament, and then I'd end up, in the third round, really getting knocked out because we didn't have enough money to buy tennis equipment. And you break strings. The other guys would have 2 or 3 spare rackets. I didn't. So I started working at Hyperama on the till, and actually as a till packer first, and then I got the chance to work the till.
Okay.
And when I started to work the till, I fell in love with retail. It was very different business those days. You got into trouble if you gave good service. It wasn't for me. Pick n Pay had this amazing advert where Raymond Ackerman had done this tribute. South Africa, this tribute is for you. And it was just really highlighting the beautiful country that we got. And I wanted to work for Pick n Pay. And a few years later, I got the chance. Pick n Pay had started something called SA Cafe. It was convenience stores. And about 2 weeks into me working in the franchise division as an admin clerk, Pick n Pay bought 7-Eleven Africa. And then I started, and I was exposed to a gentleman by the name of Jonathan Ackerman, Raymond Ackerman's son. He didn't know that I was not even 19 at the time. So, and thank God he took a liking to me. So I started getting exposed to some real greats of Pick n Pay and of retail. And by this stage I'd moved through almost every department. 7-Eleven got sold, and my mentor at the time was a gentleman by the name of Neil Quirk. We're still in daily contact, and 35 years down the line, I'll tell you. And Neil said to me, "You're going to have to go and learn the Pick n Pay way." Now, having been a senior regional manager, I was looking after company-owned stores. I'd done liquidations, and I had to now go and be a receiving manager and work my way through the ranks again. And fortunately, I did, and I learned some incredible things. Met some really phenomenal retailers, some retail minds. Pick n Pay has been the best in the world, and through the leadership. Somebody, a headhunter from Clicks, one day walked into my office, and she said that you understand retail and you understand franchise, because I'd come from the franchise division. I was an inventory buyer in a hypermarket. This is actually a very big business those days. She said that Clicks wants to have a discussion with you. They've just bought a business called Link Pharmacy, and they need somebody that understands the FMCG and franchise. So those days there wasn't much knowledge about franchise. You had the Steers bunch, you had Nando's, but very little else was a franchise. And Pick n Pay had this animal that was growing phenomenally, being the Pick n Pay franchise division. So that was it. And so I said to her, "So how did Clicks know how to find me?" She said, "Well, you were doing your franchise dissertation. Pick n Pay was qualified us with FASA and these things on how to manage franchisees." And I told a story, which is actually a 3/4 true story, about we were working the till at Hyperama, and I was racing my manager at the time, who was still in contact with me, still close friends, and we were racing to see who was the best cashier in the business. It was heydays. Those days, heydays were phenomenal. There were thousands of customers. I mean, the delis and that were all at the back of the store those days, and the customers were right at the back in queues. I mean, trolleys and trolleys. And Mike and I were racing, and it happens. This old lady gets to your till. Where they pack one, they see the score. They pack another one, they see the score. And I knew this old lady. She was a sweet old duck, but she was destroying my numbers. And she dropped a Lux soap on the till, and I leaned over the till and I said, "Mevrou, jou koekieseep het geval." And she said, "Ag nee my seun, dis nie my koekieseep, dis my gesigseep." So yeah, and because of that, I was remembered. And when they pulled the name out the hat as to who could possibly understand retail and franchise, my naughtiness got me there. So
well, you've got the room and stitches, Al.
So I went to see Jonathan Ackerman, and he said to me, "Look, Al, this is an opportunity, but you know what? As long as I'm at Pick n Pay, I'll if you want to come home, come home." Okay. So I actually went on the conference with the Link and Clicks team, And I thought, well, let me give this thing a go. And obviously the money was a hell of a persuaser. The terrible thing was that the organization was not Pick n Pay. Pick n Pay had a value system that they believed in. Other corporates have got a sign on the door that ticks the list. You know, you must have a value statement. You must have some core objectives, what have you. But Pick n Pay lived it with faults, but at the core and at the heart and soul of from Raymond Ackerman, he loved his customers, he loved his staff, and it wasn't the same company. So yes, I was privileged. My 25th birthday, I became CEO of that division. But I had a longing for to be back in FMCG. At the time, I also owned a couple of pharmacies. My best friend and business partner embezzled me. I took a 29 million rand hiding. My eldest was being born. We took my wife to the hospital in a brand new M Series BMW, and I had to borrow a car and that to fetch my wife and child, a few days later. So it came when I least needed it. But through some relationships, I got to learn that being a businessman is not about money. You've got to have a few more tricks in your armory than that, because when you've been liquidated, nobody's giving you a credit line, nobody's giving you a trust line, in fact, people are quite satisfied that you've taken a blood nose. Sad, but that's what happened. And then I was under restraint. I took a package and I bought the 7-Eleven where I met my wife. My wife was a cashier here in Alberton actually, and that store did well, and I bought another and another and another. But we were being held up quite a lot. 13 holdups in a year. And then through a family friend, they were running a big insurance firm. They were about to lose their boots, and with my HR and the skills that I'd learned from Pick n Pay and risk management, I did a presentation on their behalf just to help them. They were in a jam, and the mayor, a local mayor, took a shine to me, and we saved the business on that day. And I agreed that I'd help them for a 2-year period while serving out my restraint. As luck would have it, the day my restraint ended, I got a phone call from a friend, and he said, "Al, I've just bought Alpha Farm. Will you come and run it?" And I said, "Absolutely." It turned out not to be Alpha Farm. It turned out to be a franchise offering. But getting back in there when the company was actually finally sold to somebody that bought the bigger business, a gent by the name of Linton Lomas, he actually asked me, "What do you want to run? You want to take over the procurement? You want to take over the franchise, or you want to take over the retail?" And by this stage, I'm a retail junkie, and I said, "I'll run the retail part of the business." And then within a year, obviously, it was a standalone division, and then I was the CEO of that. And we turned around a very big mess. I mean, there was insolvent pharmacies that owed the company millions. There was people that, the one terrible story was a gentleman that, he was in his 80s, and he owed the company over 10 million rand. Sure. Now, he's never going to see a day where he's paid that debt off. So we had to take back some of these stores, and it was shareholder money, so we had to have due care and turn those stores around. And thank God, when the business was sold earlier this year, it was sold profitably. But I had made the decision when Sean Summers came back to Pick n Pay that, if he could go back to Pick n Pay, then I'm going back to my first love. Okay. And that meant buying a franchise. Awesome. And I took the ugliest of the ducklings. And
in the heart of
Sasolburg.
Okay.
And so we're about 3 months into actually trading the cafe, having fun on the shop floor, cleaning up, fixing up, but mostly building relationships with the people and building relationships with the customer. Yeah. And I can hand on my heart tell you that I love customers. I've never been a guy that can sit in the office and bark orders. I like being on the shop floor. You know, we like pushing old ladies' trolleys and, you know, doing those things that actually have great meaning. You can change a person's world by pushing their trolley, by smiling at them at the till. You don't know that person's thinking about suicide. Nobody smiled at them all day. And yeah, you know, they got the shopkeeper that's telling them a dirty joke or, you know, giving them a hug or a free cup of coffee or something. You can change the world for a person in just something that comes naturally. And we, as retailers, we should be aspiring to that.
Sure, Al, what a profound story. Your life, you should write a book.
There are a few books written, 3 are published. I wrote a book about retail turnarounds.
Oh, wow.
And a pharmaceutical company that I'm very close with published it. Okay. And I used to do these boot camps where I teach retailers the 5 steps of turning around. But it works in any business, but really about retailers. And Adil, the owner of the company, said to me, you know, the publisher says that to be a best-selling author, you've got to sell 10,000 books. So I said to him, Adil, would you mind if I sold you 10,001? I'm keeping one for myself. And that's a true story. So he bought the rights to the 2 books and we 10,000 copies. So believe it or not, I'm a best-selling author.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Well done.
But those are turnaround books. They're about practical things that need to be done in a retail business and in especially pharmacy. So we would hand these things out for free. But he bought the books because he bought them.
So Al, your story is also one of inspiration and resilience because even though you've taken a couple of beatings, like you called it, the bloody nose and so forth, there's still a story out of that you did land on your feet, you did rise again, you did grow, you still succeeded and you're still succeeding despite adversity. For our listeners out there, for young entrepreneurs or youngsters at the age of 9 who's got this natural knack for entrepreneurial, for the entrepreneurial market or whatever you want to call it, what advice can you give people who wants to start, who's faced adversity and who still wants to continue? What advice can you give them?
I think the first thing is you got to stop looking at reasons why it can't be done. You know, my most famous quote that I love the most is Nelson Mandela. It always seemed impossible until it was done. And that is so true. I mean, you got people who thought that they could create a flying machine. Are you stupid? Yes. We have airplanes today. You can have a shower at 20,000 feet with a gourmet chef. You know, there's so many reasons why you can't do things. You've got to tune out that noise. If you're an entrepreneur, and it's a frustration to me because we have a government who believe that if we give enough people enough money to start a business, they're going to do it. They don't. They crash and burn because they go and buy the BMWs. They're not entrepreneurs. I'm far happier to in my old days go and visit pharmacies at Protea Glen where the guy on the side of the road is making a magwinya. She's making pup and stew. Sadly, she's working for herself. She's not really an entrepreneur, but they've got nothing and they're making something happen. And I think that's a real beautiful thing. An entrepreneur doesn't say, how much money am I going to need and what am I going to spend it on? They start with they begin with the end in mind. What is it that I want to do?
Yes.
And then once you've worked that out, your brain plots the path. You know, I tell people, if you and I mean, we could do it now. Let's go on a boys' weekend. Do you mind getting the tickets and packing? But I hadn't told you where we're going. So you wouldn't have known what to pack, what tickets to buy, what are the options. Are we taking the bus, the bike, the train? But as soon as we know where we're going, the brain just finds the pathways. And yes, you know, you can take the high road, you can take the low road, but more often than not, you need to use both roads to get to where you're going, and you can't give up. Because most times people give up right before the breakthrough, and then they've killed their spirit, they've killed they've drained the family's resources at the bank, and yet they were a couple of inches from the summit. You know, if you're going to get frostbite, at least put your flag on top of Mount Everest. You know, you got to take that view. But the sad part of it is your business has to be a realistic idea. You know, there's some people that have got some really silly things, and they persevere and persevere and persevere. And that's the sad part of the story. You've got to have mentors that can actually help you and say, I don't think so, or try this, or you know, and that's where I've been very privileged in my life. I've got some phenomenal mentors that are and are open enough to say, oh, that's a cut idea, you know, or actually, you know, you shouldn't have cracked that joke at that forum or whatever it be. we have an honest chat now and then like that. You know?
Okay.
And I do the same with the youngsters that you know, that we mentor.
Okay, awesome. So there you have it. If you are an entrepreneur, if you're facing difficult times, or you've got a brilliant idea, test your idea first with a mentor as well, but map it out. Make sure that you know where you are going, and don't lose hope. Never lose hope. Get up, persevere. Speak to people in your life that's done it before, that knows how to do it. And Al is testament of how many years of running business and running businesses. So Al, thank you so much. Thank you for being here today. If people want to visit your store, it's in Sasolburg.
Sasolburg.
Vrystaat.
The Vrystaat. I have learned that vry is a lekker term in Afrikaans, but that's not what goes on in Sasolburg. So, but come to the Vrystaat. We've got a wonderful coffee machine. We've got some wonderful food in the deli. And funnily enough, a lot of people from LinkedIn have been making I think we're on 13 visits of entrepreneurs, of business people making the turn.
Fantastic.
People looking for alternatives. You know, there's engineering firms that have come to see me just to find out, you know, what is the different way? I mean, how do you build energy? Not the stuff that Eskom sells, but how do you build that energy within the business that gets the team to tick, that gets the customers to want to buy from you?
Yeah.
And so yeah, everybody's invited.
Fantastic.
We'll give you a trolley on the way out, and you can fill it.
Well, make a turn by the cashier and then go out, right?
Well, yesterday, sadly, we had one of those that didn't believe in paying. But yeah, if you don't mind passing the tills, my favorite part of the business.
Yeah. So, guys, just don't walk out with the trolley, fill it, pay for it, and then take it home. So, Al, thank you. Viewers, please support Pick n Pay Sasolburg, support Al and his family and his team. I've had the privilege of meeting most of his team as well at Pick n Pay. And you've got a couple of gems there, a couple of great people that side. And you've heard it, Al's got a heart for people. And go and visit him, go and make a turn, go and say hi to Al. I know he's on the shop floor, I've seen him on the shop floor. So when you visit there, there's a high likelihood you'll see Al at Pick n Pay Sasolburg. Al, thank you so much. We're looking in anticipation of what the future's going to hold for you and the major success you're busy writing in Pick n Pay Sasolburg and what else is behind that as well.
We pray so, thank you.
Thank you for tuning in into another exciting episode, uplifting episode, inspirational episode of Unfiltered AF, where adversity is not the end, where adversity could just maybe redirect you, but not to go and lie down and give up on your dreams, but to roadmap that, to plot your path properly, to make sure that you reach your end destination and reach your goals. Never give up, keep on dreaming, keep on living, keep on believing. See you next time on Unfiltered AF.
Filtered AF, real ones rise, no mask, no flex. Lights on, mic check is next. This is the truth, Unfiltered AF.